What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another super exciting Art of War stream. Today is a really exciting one because we have the World Championships of Warhammer, the very first ever Games Workshop World Championships of Warhammer, coming up this weekend. How this basically works is all through the year there have been events worldwide, global, and I don't mean America and Europe. I mean China, Thailand, global participation here. So events all around the world, winners from these various events get invited to the World Championships of Warhammer, which will be held in Atlanta this coming weekend. Basically, the way it's all worked is I believe 196 participants have qualified and are coming, and they're going to be set into pods. There's 8 pods, so 24 people, give or take, per pod. And once you're in your pod, you're going to play 5 rounds of Warhammer with people in your pod, and the basically you're just gonna beat the crap out of each other in the pod. 24 at least grand tournament winners, probably major winners, maybe super major winners. You know, who knows? This is a combination of best generals and best overalls. So some amazing. Everyone's an amazing player. Some of them are also phenomenal hobbyists. It's gonna be a bloodbath. And then you duke it out in your pod, boom, 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 boom. And after 5 grueling rounds of Warhammer, as if 5 rounds wasn't enough, you then enter the actual tournament. Because if you win your pod, if you're one of those 8 people out of the 196 players to actually come out of their pod victorious, then you get to go to the actual tournament, the top 8. So the pod's going to start on this Thursday and then end on this Friday. So it's only 2 days to play 5 games of Warhammer. And then on Saturday, Sunday, we're going to rock it out with the top 8. And the top 8 is going to be a double elimination bracket, meaning you can lose in the top 8 and then get back in that game, and then you have to lose again before you're actually eliminated. So you have a lot of opportunities. You can actually lose twice in this whole tournament and still win. And in theory, I believe the person who goes the distance and plays the hardest schedule you could imagine through this tournament could play like 14 games of Warhammer across 4 days against all World Championship level components. This is not only a marathon, but also like a marathon against world-class athletes. This is absolutely exhilarating. As a competitor, I am so excited to be participating. That's right, I'm stepping out of that commentator seat to do some whoop-ass. It's going to be awesome. So do us a favor. We're going to break it down and do the pod breaks downs. We're going to go through the list, the top players that are in attendance. We're not going to go through all 196 Army lists, of course, but we're going to hit some highlights and some interesting things, some trends and all that. So do us a favor. If you're into this kind of content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment letting us know what you think of the pods, the whole format, the system, the World Championships of Warhammer for the very first time, and who do you think is going to win? I am so curious. Also, if you're interested in actually elevating your game, learning the game, becoming better at it, maybe with the goal of becoming a participant of the World Championships of Warhammer, winning GTs and majors, or even just, beating your friends at the local store or just enjoying your game more, check out the War Room. That is our exclusive, members-only area where we do tons and tons of private videos based on how to help you get better at Warhammer, faction-specific stuff, game-related stuff, all kinds of video content. You can actually check it out for free right now in our 3-day free trial, thewarroom.vhx.tv. There is a link right there. I did it. And in the link below. So warroom.vhx.tv. Definitely check that out. All right, everybody. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to start it off by talking about our roster here. So let me figure out how exactly to do that. And this is basically the full roster. And what we're going to look through here, it's in alphabetical order, is you'll notice everyone is kind of ranked by their countries, which is really cool, and you can see their groups, group 6, 7, 7, 3, etc. What's really cool here is that you're playing not for yourself in theory, but you're playing for your country. Each country has a number of representatives going to the World Championships of Warhammer, and then based on how all the people from the United States do, or all the people from England do, or all the people from Spain do, you're going to get a score composite of how everyone has done, and the team with the best score, the country with the best score, is going to be crowned the best country at Warhammer. So, not only are you playing for singles pride and to be crowned the champion of all things 40k, you are also playing for country representation. So big pride points, and it's a real honor being able to represent not just yourself, but your country here. So let's take a look before we get into the list at the good old-fashioned pods as we do it. Let's figure out how to use the internet. We did it almost. Okay. So this is the Group 1 pod, and you'll notice It's pretty stacked. They all are. They really all are. So I'll go through some of the names I recognize. I definitely don't recognize all of them, but I've been around the scene for 20 years, playing internationally for about half of that, and yeah, there's some great players here. So Innes Wilson is the Scottish WTC team captain, and you'll notice the players are ranked. This is actually done by StatCheck, which you'll see their little logo in the bottom left corner here. StatCheck organizes data from Warhammer tournaments all around the world, which is really cool. And through that, they've ranked everybody based on their ELO, meaning how well they do at various tournaments throughout the year. Now, this is not taken into account by Games Workshop when they seed everybody or put them into pods. The pod randomization was random. But, however, we have some semblance of an idea of how strong these players are based relative to each other. Caveat, especially the players that are abroad, not so much in America, have very little exposure to the ELO ranking system. It's only going to capture the events that are captured in it. So players from like Singapore or China or something, they probably have like no ELO rank whatsoever because of the data that's captured. So I would not put too much stock into it. It also very much rewards you for playing frequently and winning frequently, which as a ranking system should, but that does not actually indicate your skill. You can be an amazing player who doesn't go to tournaments. That is a possibility. So Innes Wilson, captain of Scotland, ranked 7 in the world, is bringing Blood Angels. Interesting choice. Then we got my boy John Lennon, the Boy King himself, ranked 10 in the world with Space Marines. Josh Roberts, captain of the English WTC team, or perhaps former captain, I'm not quite sure, but ranked 13 in the world with Eldari. Monedita Gonzalez from Spain with Necrons, and you can really see kind of the diversity in armies that are taken here, which, there are definitely diverse picks here. I didn't think we'd see Drukhari, but we've got Austria bringing Drukhari, we've got Australia bringing Drukhari, we've got Singapore bringing Eldari, of course. As we go on, we got Kid Smith Hannah, one of our War Room members. Whoa, it really works, folks. It really works. Coming in at 93rd in the world with Tau Empire. Matt Laura with Necrons. Colin Watts with the jankiest of Tyranid armies. Caillou with Tyranids. Joel Wilson with Deathwatch. He's a member of the Team America team. Devin Swad from Team Canada with Tau Empire. Joe McMillan with Death Guard. Kasra Hushidar, one of our Art of War teammates, with Space Marines, and you can see kind of from there. So there's a lot of great players in this pod. Let's take a look at just a couple of their lists. So, how best do this? Let's do it this way. Boom! So first we're going to look up Innes Wilson. I'm really curious what Innes is cooking. So Innes recently has been on a chaos kick, but I guess he's decided chaos is not the truth for today. So Innes is bringing 1st Scottish Airborne Brigade. It's plain to see how bad Dreads are at 1985. So he's playing Blood Angels with the Ironstorm Spearhead Detachment, Lamarty's a Tech Marine with the Target Augury Web, and the Sanguinor. Sanguinor is nice because he does janky stuff, heroic interventions out of reserves. 2 Ball Predators, 10 Death Company with jump packs, all Power Fists and Inferno Pistols. 1, 2, 3 Inceptor Squads, all 3-man. A Scout unit. 2 Stormhawk Inset Interceptors. You'd pretty much never see these things. You rarely see planes in competitive 40k, but this is some interesting tech. They basically arrive from reserves and then shoot very hard anti-tank. They're +1 to hit versus fly, which makes them excellent killers of Night Spinners, which as we go through the various Eldari factions, Night Spinners are a super popular choice. It's actually kind of +1 to hit versus the entire Eldari faction, and it's not bad against armies like Chaos Space Marines, also being able to come in and kill an Nurgle Rhino by actually getting within 12. 1, 2, 3 Whirlwinds to round it out. So 3 Whirlwinds, 2 Stormhawks, 3 units of Inceptors, and 2 Ball Predators. Pretty unassuming list from the onset, but I'm sure if it is bringing it, it's got some good teeth. I know some other top players in different pods are bringing it as well. Let's take a look at John Lennon's list. John is the 2nd seed of this group, and he's an amazing opponent as well. He's playing Ultra Meme. So interesting, John has been on a Tyranid kick for a long time. He's running a Tyranid coaching class in the War Room right now, and he's got a whole bunch of Tyranid content coming out. He's done very well with his Tyranids, but I think he's felt like the Tyranids don't have the ability to compete at this level of competition, because this isn't like your normal tournament. This isn't even like your normal super major tournament. This is excuse me, I'm coming off of a cold. This is a super major style event with only the best players in the world at it. So you can't solely rely on Tyranid jank, lack of army knowledge against you, and people making mistakes to really get your wins. You got to assume you're playing against the best players on the best things. So John has swapped it over to Space Marines. He's doing Vanguard Spearhead, which is a Space Marine chapter I feel like most people are not on in the Worlds, which I thought was so fascinating because I personally am terrified of this army, and I'm very thankful that none of the Art of War boys are in my pod. So we got an Apothecary Biologist, Marnius Calgar, Uriel Ventress, classic characters. 6 Aggressors with the stuff. He's gone for Boltstorm. 5 Centurion Devastators. Company Heroes to join the Uriel Ventress unit. Or an Eradicator unit, another Eradicator unit. 3 Inceptors for 15 Inceptors. John loves his reserves. Scout unit, another scout unit, and a 3rd scout unit. Oh my god, the trash. And a Calidus assassin. You know John doesn't leave home without the Calidus. Really strong army. Basically, the Centurions can go up and down into reserve and hit super hard with the Vanguard Spearhead. He's got a lot of tricks to leave when you charge him, be hard to shoot. It's a very John janky army. Love to see how well he does here. Got a question from Corey Schultz. What website are we looking at? We're looking at Best Coast Pairings, which has tournament data on pretty much all the tournaments in the world. So that's John. Let's take a look at Josh Roberts. He's our number 3 seed here. Josh Roberts from England. Bring Eldari. Now, he's got an Autarch Wayleaper with the Phoenix Gem. This is a very European thing, putting it on the Phoenix Gem on the Autarch Wayleaper. In America, you often omit the Phoenix Gem or you put it on a Farseer. It's an interesting little variation. It really, I'm sure it matters. I'm not trying to pretend it doesn't matter, but it's a very side-grady type of thing. Farseer Skyrunner, Fugan, Spirit Seeker with Fate's Messenger. He's going to join some Wraithguard, no doubt, and the Incarn. Another variational difference is that Incarn is so popular in Europe and then in America. It's not unpopular, but you'll see a lot more regular avatars instead. 1, 2, 3 Night Spinners, 1, 2, 3 units of Warp Spiders, and a unit of 10 Wraithguard. 3 data sheets plus characters. This list is here to kick ass and take names. You'd expect nothing less from Josh Roberts. So as we continue going through here, let's take a look at some more lists. I'm very curious what kit Smith Hanna is brought with his Tau. So let's take a look there. Kit Smith Hanna with the good old-fashioned Long Strike. Oh, this list is hard to read. Long Strike, a Cadre Fireblade, a Commander with Cyclics, another Commander. These are both Cold Stars with Cyclics. Breacher team, Teams of Hounds. A 6-man Crisis Suit with all Cyclics, a 3-man with Cyclics, another 3-man with Cyclics, a solo Ghost Kill, a solo Hammerhead, Piranha, Tetras, Devilfish for the Breachers. Pretty standard issue Tau list. It's got its own personal flares and variations, but pretty much exactly what I'd expect. Crisis Suits plus stuff. As we move on through, let's take a look at some other pods just to keep it rolling. Let's go to pod 2 for a moment. So pod 2 is featuring Nassim Fouchain, who is the number 3 seed in the world, also playing Blood Angels. And if I recall, Nassim and Inez, maybe not teammates, but definitely partners in this endeavor, have played point for point the exact same army. So that Ball Predator, Stormhawk Interceptor, they tried it, they tested together, and if they both brought it, and they're both the highest ranked player in their pod, it's probably very good. So, for those of you Space Marine players sleeping on Stormhawk Interceptors and Ball Predators and saying Blood Angels suck, 2 of the best players in the world are bringing to Worlds. So, take that for some anecdotal evidence. Jack Harpster, the number 12 player in the world at the moment with Black Templars, although he's still the current ITC champion. Let's take a look at Jack's list, because I think this is something that players might not be knowing what's cooking here. So let's go over to Mr. Jack's next. Jack has brought quite an army here. Titled Jack Templars, as they would be. This is a Gladius Strike Force, an Apothecary Biologist, Captain with the Honor Vehement, another Captain with Artificer Armor, and High Marshal Helpert. They're all going to be in 3 Impulsors. Each Impulsor is going to sit in with some Sword Brethren. We'll get to that. Unit of 6 Aggressors, an Eradicator Squad, 2 Inceptor Squads, 1 with Bolters, 1 with Plasmas. The Aggressors going, of course, a Land Raider Redeemer. Very, very classic combo right there. Then he's got 1, 2, 3 Primaris Sword Brethren squads. Each one's got a myriad of weapons, very similar to how Chosen have a myriad of weapons, and they all go in impulsors. So Jack is kind of really taking a page out of the Chaos Space Marine playbook here. He's like, hey, Chosen are pretty good 3-1 Space Marines with lots of weapons that advance and charge out of Rhinos, and it's a hard thing to stop. What if I take Sword Brethren and I put them into Inceptors and I advance and charge them and I add characters to them, and it's a hard thing to stop. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Like, this is a really great army. This is really strong. He rounds it out with 1, 2, 3 scout squads for some trash. So basically, if you imagine a normal Chaos Space Marine archetype with Chosen and Rhinos, and then support it with Forge Fiends and Obliterators, Jack is instead of supporting it with Aggressors and a Land Raider Redeemer, and then Scouts are kind of akin to Nurglings and trash like that. So very interesting archetype. Very cool list design from Jack here. I gotta heart this comment right here because it is absolutely awesome. Patrick has been out of the 40k scene for a long while. It's so cool that Nick is doing YouTube. Patrick, thank you so much. We've been doing YouTube for quite a few years now. Join the Art of War 40k channel. Click that subscribe button, everybody, and let's get back to it. So Pod 2, as we were ranking here. Stephen Crowley, another top player in the States, is playing World Leaders. I'm curious what kind of World Leaders he's bringing. Kyle McDade's on Leagues of Votann. Sweet Lou, someone I've had the pleasure of playing. What a gentleman. Miss Sweet Lou is busting out those Eldari. Then we've got some non-English speaking countries. We've got Matthias Bellman from Germany with Eldari. Jackal from Iceland with Eldari. Francois with more Blood Angels. Kyle McCord, another American with Black Templars. He and Jack are actually in cahoots, and they have copy-pasted the same exact army. And then we get into some more factions and players I'm a little less familiar with. But one thing is really interesting is Mate Cesar, another Warhammer member, bringing Adeptus Mechanicus. I think he's literally the only Adeptus Mechanicus. Don't quote me on that. But holy crap, we actually just did an interview with Mate on the Art of War podcast, which you can check out on this YouTube channel or on our Patreon, aow40k.com, where he goes in detail about how that army works. So if you're interested in how AdMech are showing up to Worlds, that's the place for you. So let's take a look at this Leagues of Votann army that Colin McDade is bringing. I'm very curious what super competitive Leagues of Votann look like. Now, Colin, he is a great list builder for that. So if he's able to bring Leagues of Votann to WCW with expectations to win, I'm very curious what that looks like. The Iron Here Champion, a call with the Appraising Glare. His Iron Here has Grim Demeanor. 10 Harkin Warriors, 10 more Harkin Warriors, 10 more Harkin Warriors. 1, 2, 3 Sagittars. I really thought I would see 6. Just 3 is pretty interesting. 18 Brokir Thunderkin. Okay, this man is not slowing down with this stuff. And then a 10-man unit of Hearthguard, 2 6-man Pioneers, and a 3-man Pioneer. Wow. Very foot-sloggy, ground-poundy for Votann. Not what I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing a lot more transports and a lot more land forts. Different take on Votann. A lot of scouting maneuvers here. So it'll be interesting to see how he sees. But there is one player in Pod 2 we have not even talked about that we absolutely have to. And this is what I mean. You can't trust ELO. Take a look at our 16th player in the grouping here, ranking 879th in the world. Maybe not the most accurate. Richard Siegler on his Tau. Richard Siegler in Group 2 with Tau. What's his Tau list look like? I tell you, it's different. Anva's Holy Ghost come back to haunt you. Interesting. So Anva and a commander in Cold Start with Cyclics, with the Exemplar of the Callion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Breacher teams. 50 Fire Warriors hanging out in 1, 2, 3, 4 Devilfish. A 2-man unit of Broadsides. And then we've got a 6-man Crisis Suit unit, a 3-man Crisis Suit unit, Pathfinder unit, and double Tetras. Super exciting. And one other thing that's very interesting that only Richard is doing that I haven't seen anyone else do, Crisis Unit number 1, all fusions. 6-man all fusions, a couple cyclics, but pretty much all fusions. And that is an adaptation because he finds cyclics just don't get it done versus things like Redemptors and Armor of Contempt Terminators and things like that. So really awesome adaptation by Richard. I expect him to do super well. And what's really interesting here as well is that with the Pathfinders, Richard can slow down those scouting Votan bikes that Comic Days brings. Same with Jack Scouts. So very interesting microdynamics going on in Pod 2 over there. We got some love in the stream for the solo streams. Appreciate you. Thank you, chat. You can check out the list on Best Coast Pairings. It's bestcoastpairings.com. Let's take a look over on Pod 3. Everyone likes Pod 3. So Pod 3, our number 1 seed is Ben Jurek, who's 9th in the world playing Eldari. Ben has been on Eldari for pretty much the entirety of 10th edition, starting out when they're broken, and now that they're more in line with other competitive factions, he's still putting up W's with them. Alex Spathopoulos, sorry if I butchered that, also goes by Alex Spathos. Met him just the other week. Really fantastic player, getting all the way to the finals of the California Cup with his Dark Angels, and once again, he is playing Dark Angels. So we'll see what that army is like. I love the Space Marine variations here. You're seeing Blood Angels in 3rd seed right here from Alejandro from Spain. I'm very curious what that army looks like. Arthur 2 with CSM. We have not seen much CSM making it to the pods in the first 3 groups here. So this is really interesting. Arthur 2, another great player, winning the SoCal Open just the other week with Chaos Space Marines. And then, of course, our boy Alex McDougall from Canada with Gene Stealer Colts. Donald Plummer representing the U.S. with Tau. And then we get into a bunch of names I'm a little less familiar with. But here we got 14th seed Michael Fox. Michael Fox is bringing in Astra Militarum. Now, Michael's the best overall kind of guy, but that means he's no slouch on the tabletop either. His army is absolutely gorgeous and deserves quite the shout-out. Morgan Timpy in 18th seed here, another American representation. But here we've got Mexico showing up, Netherlands showing up, Czech Republic, Thailand. Oh, man, it's like WTC, but in America. This is great. So, as we're going through, let's take a look at some lists. Let's see, we've got Ben Jurek. So Ben's got Spin Me Right Round at his list title, an Autarch Wayleaper with the Phoenix Gem, Fugan, Spirit Seer, and the Incarn with Fate's Messenger, or Space Seer with Fate's Messenger. Fugan is something that we have not really talked about, but it's definitely something that's going really, really commonly in a lot of these top-level LOs. He's just a solo character. He comes back to life. He's super hard to kill. With Fate Dice, it's a ridiculous amount of damage that he can just do with his fusion gun. Boom Day 12 is definitely something this man is easily capable of doing. You reroll the 2 up to hit, you reroll the 3 to wound. You just take an invul if you have one. If you don't have an invul, Fate Dice for damage, take 12. And then he's no slouch in combat with AP 4 and flat 3. He's an amazing Chosen killer, Sword Brethren killer, anything like that. Really great tech choice. Pretty much seen unanimously, ubiquitously through all of the Eldari list here. 1, 2, 3 Night Spinners. There it is. We were wondering where the triple Night Spinners armies were, but here we be. 5 Rangers, 5 Swooping Hawks, and then 15 Warp Spiders and 10 Wraithguard to round it out. Excuse me, everybody. Lot of trash. We got 6 units trash, Rangers, Hawks, Spiders. One thing I think is really interesting is the inclusion of Rangers. For 55 points for an infiltrating unit, that is OC2. I don't know how more people don't run Rangers, but they're a really great choice right now in the meta because they stop world leaders from scouting up on you and then just ending the game on turn 1 should world leaders go first. That little bit of stall is a huge investment towards victory here. Alright, so great list by Ben. I expect him to do very well in this pod. Let's see what else we've got going on. We've got Alex Spathos in pod number 3. Boom, 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 boom. And Alex has 0 reps on GW terrain, so we are just winging it. I don't know if that's true. It's probably true, honestly. And, that is not a good place to find yourself. But Alex is a great player, and I expect him to do pretty well. He's got an Ancient Terminator armor with the Pennant of Remembrance. Azrael, Lieutenant with a combi weapon with the Shroud of Heroes, joined to, of course, 10 Deathwing command squads with all of the Apothecary Ancient Champions. They're going to be up to OC3, because not only do they have an Ancient in their unit, but they're then joined by another Ancient in Terminator armor, and then they obviously still retain OC when they're battle shocked, and they get better when they're battle shocked, so you really have to just kill this unit, and easier said than done with 4 wounds each on all the Storm Shields, Armor of Contempt, cover potentially, -1 damage strat, and healing from that Apothecary. So it just basically says this objective is going to be mine. And then 10 Hellblasters, Amazing and Dark Angels shoot you, your turn, my turn, your turn again, my turn again, who cares? 6/3/3 Inceptors. I really like the 6/6/3 combo for Inceptors. I think that's a great amount of Inceptor. And then 2 Redemptors and 2 Scout Squads and Assassin to run it out. So a token amount of trash that you kind of just need to play the game. And Scouts are great, again, for anti-World Eaters tech. You'll notice a lot of infiltrating units and a lot of anti-scouting things. That is a bit of a variational style difference that you're seeing right now in the meta from all these top players, because there's a lot of World Eaters and there's a lot of Votan and a lot of potential armies that can scout right at you and end the game prematurely if you're not ready to defend against it. So it's a bit of a list check in that regard. Arthur 2, another player with Chaos Space Marines. I think the first Chaos Space Marines we've looked at today, which is interesting because they're one of the highest win rate factions in the game. So Arthur he's actually teammates with Alex Spathos, so you know that's always sucks when you're teammates with someone in your own pod like Jack and Siegs, but what can you do? We've got War Bears up in here. He's got a Chaos Lord, Mark of Undivided, 2 Dark Communes, also Undivided. Loving those rerolls. No need for Mark of Nurgle anywhere. Master of Possession Undivided is a variation you see instead of the Chaos Lord as a different character to join to your Chosen. He just makes your Chosen that much faster with his +2-inch move and then slightly larger base and +1 advance and charge. 2 units of 10 Cultists. He's gone for Zinch on a squad. This man really doesn't use the Nurgle strat. Except for these Rhinos. The Rhinos really should be using the Nurgle strat. 1, 2, 3 Rhinos. 2 full Accursed Cultist bricks joined to those Dark Communes. That's the meat and potatoes of this army. But then there's also 2 bricks of 10 Chosen riding in those Rhinos with the Mop and the Chaos Lord. And that's the other meat and potatoes to this army. A lot of offensive pain with the Chosen, a lot of board control from the Accursed Cultists. Then he's got 2 units of Noise Marines in that 3rd Rhino to add some fire support, cause some battle shocks, and skirmish a little bit. A unit of 4 Obliterators, Mark of Undivided to reroll everything, and then 2 units of 3 Nurglings to screen, again, anti-infiltrate, anti-scout, that kind of stuff. So we got a couple requests from the chat. We've got a request to show some Astra Militarum and some Custodes. We will do such. Noah Bedome is our Custodes player, so let's take a look at him. Oh, this is Chaos Knights. For real? For real? We're bringing Chaos Knights to this tournament? Oh, we sure are. Noah's bringing a Knight Rampager. This is in pod 2. I'm going a little backwards to appease the chat here. We've got the Knight Rampager, who's the Warlord with the Lord of Dread Warlord trait. And usually you don't see big Knights in Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights are, when competitively played, are a mission play army. Lots of small brigands and carnivores to move through walls and just dump primary onto your objectives. But a Rampager helps to try to up that offense, giving real ones to hit to all their shooting attacks. So I expect to see 6 brigands here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 brigands! We're stopped at 4. Brigands are like the most cost-effective gun platform you got. And if you're going in on the guns for shooting, you know, that is what that be. I'm not here to tell this man his army. Like he's here today as a world champion. He's telling me his army. 2 huntsmen. 1, 2 carnivores, and then 1 tune to fleshhounds, tune to nurglings, blue scribes, and changeling. So a lot of lone ops, a lot of nurglings, a lot of fleshhounds, a lot of small knights, and a rampage. Looks like a balanced Chaos Knight army, if you could even come up with such a thing. Very fascinating here. All right, and then we got a question. I certainly think Eldar don't need triple spinners. I agree. Eldar definitely don't need triple spinners, but it does give you that element of control, which in top-level competitive matches, being able to sit on your ass and do damage to them while your opponent is unable to retaliate, it create a points differential advantage in terms of the fact that if I shoot you with 2 turns for spinners before you get to fighting my Wraithguard and the Avatar and the Incarn, then essentially you're going to end up taking a lot of damage and playing 1500 versus 2000 by the time the damage actually gets going. It's not. It tries to gain control in the matchup. So anyway, let's keep on heading through the pods. We're up to pod number 4. Everybody loves pod number 4. Pod number 4 is arguably the toughest pod. I would say it's definitely one of them. But all the pods are difficult in this one. Manny Chima, currently the best player in the world by ELO and first seed from England with Chaos Space Marines. And his Chaos Space Marines are a bit different to every other Chaos Space Marines that you'll see in this tournament. We'll go through them, of course. Anthony Vanilla, number 5 player in the world, also an Art of War team member and coach, running those World Eaters. Really loving those World Eaters. Rocking it. He hasn't changed a point for 3 events now that he's gone to, and he's lost one single game to Manny at one of those events. So he's like 15-1 with this World Eaters army. I expect him and Manny to be duking it out in this one. But David Gaylord from New Zealand is no slouch either. He actually lives in the United Kingdom, but he is from New Zealand, and that's where he's representing. 20th player in the world with Eldari. Justin Moore with Gene Stealer Cults is an up-and-comer, also a War member from Texas, of all places. And then he's got Gene Stealer Cults. Eric Marcoux from Canada with Imperial Knights, an army you don't really expect to see at the World Championship level, so I'm curious what that demonstrates. Andrew Gagne, one of my hometown heroes with Tau Empire, just sneaking into that top 100 ELO ranking. Thomas Woback from Austria with Eldari. Jaime from Spain, William from Switzerland. Jaime's actually an American as well, but representing Spain here because that is where he's ultimately from. Mike Pestilence, a United States player with World Eaters. And then as we get through it, a lot of names I'm a little bit less familiar with. But let's go through some of these top competitors here. Manny Chima. How do we not show the big man? Pod 4. Manny Chima. He didn't even come up with a cool name. That's really disappointing, Manny. Come on, step that up. We need cool names up in here. 1, 2, 3 Chaos Lords, all Mark of Undivided. 1, 2, 3 Dark Communes, all Undivided, and Nurgle on the last one. 3 units of Slanesh Legionnaires. Each one's just all combat all time. Didn't even skip a beat for that Reaper Chicken Cannon, which I like so much. 1, 2, 3 Rhinos. 3 bricks of Accursed Cultists to join those 3 Dark Communes, and 3 units of 5 Chosen to join those Lords. The Lords are going to go, the Chosen Rhinos are going to be joined by the Legionnaire Rhinos, and then 3 bricks of Accursed Cultists. So kind of similar to Arthur 2's list, but just gone that step further. It's gone 3 units of 5 Chosen with 3 units of 5 Legionnaires, all in 3 Rhinos, 3 full Accursed Cultist bricks. And that's pretty much all of your points. He rounds it out with a single Forge Fiend with triple Ectoplasma Cannons with Undivided, just to keep people honest with some amount of shooting, and a unit of 3 Nurglings for token, deploy Homer, screen, infiltrate, stopper, that type of thing. So, really super powerful list here by Manny. It's actually skipping the firepower aspects of Chaos Space Marines that you're used to seeing Obliterators and Forge Fiends that you expect in most Chaos lists. But that's not to take away from the fact that this army is amazing at the mission. Having Legionnaires in those Rhinos might seem a little unorthodox, but it's actually a variation I've gone with as well for my Chaos Space Marines. It allows you to put an in-between unit out, because sometimes you don't need to hit everything with the force of Chosen plus Lord and the commitment level of Chosen plus the Lord. Sometimes you just need a small, cheap skirmish unit that can hit okay to just do stuff. And having both units in a Rhino can really help you pick the right amount of investment level to solve the problem you are trying to solve in a given turn. I really like that adaptation. Lack of guns, we'll see if that bites Manny in the butt, but he knows what he's doing. All right, Anthony. How could we not show off Anthony's World Eaters in this one? Anthony's got Immortality by Annihilation. That's a good name for what Anthony does. 1,975 points, because Anthony doesn't need his last 25. He is literally playing 1.5% or 1.25% down. He's only playing with 98% of his list. But he's got Angron, Karn the Betrayer, Lord Invicaz, Lord on a Juggernaut with the Favorite of Coin, and a Master of Executions with the Berserker Glaive, all pain train going. He doesn't care about Assassinate. I literally played Anthony very recently. I took Assassinate, and this man, turn 1, took a Lord Invicata solo operation character right here, and just charged him into 3 Nurglings turn 1. He was like, I do not care that you took Assassinate. Fair is fair, Anthony. If that's what you'd be doing, that's what you'd be doing. 10 Jackals, 10 Khorne Berserkers, 5 Khorne Berserkers. They go in the 2 Rhinos with the Master of Executions and Karn. 3 8-bound, 3 Exalted 8-bound, and 6 Exalted 8-bound. Really kind of unassuming World Leaders list, but my God, when Anthony plays it, it tabled me. I'll tell you that, it tabled me. So Anthony is pretty good at this game. I don't remember who else is in Group 4. Let's take a look back at Pod 4 here. David Gaylord. How do we not look at David Gaylord? And then let's take a look at Justin Moore's GSC, because we haven't seen much GSC in the mix here. So David Gaylord, our 3rd seed in this pod. He's got Eldari, playing for Team Ignite, of course. Autark Wayleaper, also no cool name. Come on, guys, come on. We need cool names here. Autark Wayleaper with the Phoenix Gem, a Fugan, Spirits Your Fate's Messenger, and the Incarn. 1, 2, 3 Night Spinners. I've read this book before. 5 Rangers, 2x5 Superhawks, 2 units of Warp Spiders, and the Wraith Guard. This is like copy and pasted Eldar, I swear. They all look the same, except for the ones that don't. And then we've got Justin Moore on GSC. Now, Justin, last I checked on his GSC, did very well with a full horde of like 160 neophytes or something, 120 neophytes, whatever the max neophytes you can take is. Let's see. Again, with no cool names, folks. Keep it together. 1, 2, 3 Primuses, Prowling Adjutant on 1, that's 10 points left. Focus of Adoration on the other, that's some points left. And a Reductus Saboteur as the Warlord. 10 Acolytes, 10 more Acolytes, 20 Neophytes, 20 Neophytes, 20 Neophytes, 20 Neophytes, 20 Neophytes, and looks like only 10 Neophytes. So instead of the full 120 Neophytes, he has gone for a casual 110, because, that's just not that bad. 5 Pure Strain Gene Stealers, a pick you pretty much never see. I'm very curious what the purpose of those Pure Strains are for. They might infiltrate, now that you mention it, and that could literally be what the purpose is for. Stopping World Eaters. That it is a mandatory thing. And we've got a Ridge Runner. We got 2 Ridge Runners to round this thing out. Okay, so let's take a look at Andrew's Tau Army. I'm just really curious what Andrew is bringing to the thing. The Tau Armies I'm seeing are all similar in concept, but everyone's got their own style to it. Boats and Chassos. Andrew picked a name for him. Kudos to you, Andrew. Cadre Fireblade. I don't even know what Cadre Fireblades do. That is something. They buff Fire Warriors, Breachers in some capacity, but 40-point character, not bad. 1 commander only with Cyclics. A Breacher team, a Breacher team, a Breacher team, a Breacher team. 4 of those in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish. I guess that other fish will hold Pathfinders. We've got a 6-man Crisis Suits with the Cyclics, a 3-man and 3-man with the Cyclics, 10 Pathfinders, 10 Pathfinders. I don't know what it's with all the Tau players taking more infantry than they can go into the transports. Richard and Ganya have both done that, but here we are. And then 2 units of 2 Tetris to round it out. So no Piranhas. Andrew is a man who loves Piranhas, so I'm surprised to see no Piranhas, but looks like a pretty good balanced Talus. Devilfish, Fire Warriors, and Crisis Suits. Let's check over on Pod 5. Pod 5 is a good time. Everybody likes Pod 5. Pod 5. We've got Tim Dietlefs from Canada with Eldari. Let's see if it's Triple Night Spinner. Canada usually plays some different stuff, so I don't expect to see Triple Night Spinner. Grisha Gerwert from Germany with Chaos Space Marines. Sasha, man after my own heart, has submitted his Space Marines as well. Robert Moreland, a guard player from Texas with Astra Militarum. Tyler Principio with Chaos Space Marines from the United States. And then Stephen Box with Black Templars from England. So, by rank, we don't have any top 10 players on ELO in this pod, which is a little bit softer than we're used to seeing. But what are we even comparing here? Like, what? No pod is soft. What are we talking about? Let's take a look at Tim's army. Tim with the Eldari. Hopefully this is not a triple spinner version, but just that, I'm only saying that because I'm bored of seeing triple spinners. Let's find out. Close this. Open this. We did it. Internet. Double avatar. Oh, the one thing, though, is if you see an incarnate, she synergizes so well with those triple spinners because they can indirect out some trash unit, and then she just appears in your deployment zone and charges you. So we got a Wayleaper, Avatar, Fugan, Incarn. Hornets. 1, 2, 3 Hornets. And then only 2 spinners. Internet, only 2 spinners right there. That counts. 3 Hornets, 2 spinners, 5 Rangers. 3 units of Swooping Hawks, unit of Spiders. Still basically the elements of Eldari. Doesn't have Wraithguard, which I think is the most fascinating thing about this list. I'm very curious to see how Tim does in this one. Who else was in this pod that we were checking? Grisha Gerwert. Grisha, I'm not familiar with as a player. He's coming in from Germany, and he's got 1, 2, 3 Chaos Lords, a Dark Commune, a 10-man Cultist unit with Nurgle, 5 Legionnaires, 2 Rhinos only, a Nurgle Cursed Cultist unit to join the Dark Commune, 3 units of 5 Chosens. He's going to do 3 by 5 Chosen and 5 Legionnaires across 2 Rhinos. A little bit less than the 3 Rhinos we're used to seeing, but a lot of pain coming out of those 3 Rhinos. 2 Forge Fiends, 2 2-man Obliterators, 5 Warp Talons, and 3 units of 3 Nerdlings. Love the amount of trash those Nerdlings bring. 5 Warp Talons is interesting. Other than that, pretty stereotypical Chaos Space Marine stuff. We got Sasha in this pod. Gotta look at Sasha. With, of course, Space Marines, Imperial Fists, Praetorians of Terra. Sasha is the type of player to always run his fists. He loves his fists. His army's gorgeous. He got here on best overall and best general. Believe he's qualified twice. And amazing. Sidarnith Lysander with Librarian and Phobos armor, an Impulsor, an Assault Intercessor squad with jump packs, Centurion Assault Squad, another Centurion Assault Squad, Eliminators, Eradicators. 3x3 Eradicators. Sasha's not here to allow tanks to live. 2 Centurion Assault Squads. Those are units you do not see frequently. Sasha always plays off-the-wall stuff, so the fact that this is just a strange army to me just means that I'm not familiar with it. Not that it's ineffective. 1 Eliminator Squad, again an Infiltrator, Skirmisher, cheap 75er. 366 Inceptors. Sasha's not hanging out softly with those Inceptors. He knows the value of showing them 3 inches away and blasting somebody. 5 Infiltrators, 5 Scouts, and an Assassin. A lot of trash, a lot of Inceptors. This actually looks super similar to John's army. And this is using the Firestorm Assault Force. It's an interesting pick for his faction here. Interesting. I don't even know what that does. So, Sasha, I expect to do some murderous things in Pod 5. Let's take a look at Robert Moreland's Astra Militarum. We can't not show some Astra Militarum while we're here. Robert in Group 5 has got the good old-fashioned Gaunt's Ghosts, Lord Solar Leontis, a platoon command squad, 2 regimental engineers, a tank commander with demolishers, and Ursula Creed. That is a lot of characters. This man doesn't care about assassinate. Then we've got 2 Arcadian Shock Troop squad, an infantry squad. My eyes bleed over when I read guard armies. It all looks the same to me. I'm sorry to offend the guard players of the world. A Chimera, 2 Hellhounds, a Demolisher, 2 Rogaldorns, a Scout Sentinel, some Scions, and an Assassin. I actually interviewed Robert Moreland just maybe a month ago or 2 months ago on the Art of War podcast, so I got a good insight into his list design building philosophy and why he doesn't run indirect, and he's a very mobile-based guard player. Moving around, shooting people is his thing, so really curious to see how well he does, especially on these Games Workshop terrain format boards. But that's enough of that for now. Let's check in on Group 6. Hey, use that at the top of Group 6. That's right, number 1 seed, also 49 ranked DLL. So this is, by definition, the softest pod based on purely ELO. But you know what? Screw that. That's because I'm playing much and TJ and, all these guys. This is a tough pod. They all are. So I'm, of course, going number 1 player in my pod. That means I should win it, right? I've got Chaos Space Marines. We'll go through my list. TJ Lanigan with Gene Stealer Cults. Now, most of you might know TJ as a Chaos Space Marine player, but he's actually been doing a lot of Gene Stealer Cult stuff in the past few months. Kevin Godslinger Zollinger, I don't even know, from Black Templars from Austria. Brad Townsend bringing Chaos Demons, and we have to look at his Chaos Demons, because Chaos Demons are my favorite army of the game, and Brad is awesome. Nathaniel Bjorge, hope I didn't ruin that, with Astra Militarum. John Winter Russell with Astra Militarum, a lot of Astra Militarum in this pod. Then we've got the Angel Killer from Andorra with World Leaders, and we've got quite a bit of a different World Leaders list in this pod. You want to see some Eldor that also don't have Night Spinners? I'll show you Brad Weir's list from down here. We got a man from China, Jun Hong. Unranked. That's where you start when you're unranked. With Adeptus Custodes and as we go through it, I want to show off Boris Michev's Chaos Space Marines, or just give Boris a shout out. He and I are playing essentially the same army. Boris is a great dude. And we got Sebastian Gayhart from Germany with Eldari, and Matt Bonnet with World Leaders from France, and Matt is a top player as well. So with very interesting offbeat army here, which I think is going to be quite the army to beat in this pod. So hopefully I can muster a plan. But let's get into it. Let's show off those army lists. Boom, boom, boom. So I named my army real good stuff. You can read between the lines here. 3 Chaos Lords, Cypher. I think I'm the only person in this entire tournament who's brought Cypher. And looking at all the undivided Chaos Space Marine units in the world, I'm really happy it did. I'd like to Vect that. Looking at all these Space Marine armies with Armor Contempt, I'd like to Vect that. You know, if I play Eldar, I play Eldar. But it's really about those undivided units and those Armor Contempt people I want nothing to do with. 10 Nurgle Cultists, 2 units of 5 Legionnaires. Again, they're going to go into the other half of my Chosen Rhinos. 1, 2, 3 Rhinos. 10-man Chosen goes in one. 2 5s go into another. Pretty self-explanatory. 2 Forge Fiends, 1 Nurgles, 1 Undivided. 2 Obliterators, they're both Nurgle. And then 2 units of Nurglings, because I don't lose to World Eaters like that. That's embarrassing. We got a $2 super chat from Dalthar Sajath. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. Take a look at Kevin's Black Templars, Austrian Highway. Absolutely will. Absolutely will. I actually have looked at all the lists in my pod for my own curiosity and planning, so I do have mad respect for Kevin's Black Templars, and we will show that off. If you have anyone you want me to show off in the chat here that I have not covered on my natural accord, please do send a super chat. I'm happy to revisit any of it. So thank you so much for that, Dalthair. So Chaos Space Marine good stuff is more or less the archetype here. I put my own flair on it. I played like God knows how many games with this army. I'm really comfortable with it. So we'll see how I do. Hopefully very well. Hopefully I make it out of my pod. But it will not be easy because we've got other players in our pod that's very good. So let's, not Group 5, Group 6, Group 5. TJ Lanigan, let's pull up TJ's. We will pull up Kevin's as well, I promise. TJ's got Genestealer Cult. He's lost control of his life. I hope that's not actually true, but an Abominant with Inscrutable Cunning, that's going to be allowing him to infiltrate. He's almost certainly going to join us some Aberrants. A Nexos, Primus, and a Reductus Sab. I've got 10 Acolytes, 10 Acolytes, 10 Acolytes, 20 Neophytes, 20 Neophytes, 10 Neophytes. So more Acolytes skewed GSC list than what we're used to seeing, but pretty within the template of GSC. Since they nerfed the number of 3-inch away deep strikes you can do in a given turn, the Acolytes have really fallen off in flavor, but TJ's still running them. We've got 10 mana Aberrant, of course infiltrating up that Abominant, a Ridge Runner, and then 3 Cyclops Demolition Vehicles. These are allied from Astro Meltear and Forge World. They're just like literally this big vehicles that exist. They don't do anything. Technically they explode for mortal wounds, but like they don't do anything, but they screen and they do actions and stuff like that. Let's take a look at Kevin. Kevin with Black Templars from Austria. The Austrian Highway is an Ironstorm Spearhead with a Tech Marine with Master of the Machine War and another Tech Marine. 1, 2, 3, 4 Impulsors. 1, 2, 3 Reapers. A Hellblaster unit. Another Hellblaster unit going in those Impulsors. Same with those Tech Marines. I guess that's how you unlock them because he doesn't have any other infantry. 2 Predator Annihilators, 3 Predator Destructors, and Scouts, 3 Scout Squads, because, you know, everybody's bringing Infiltrators to this tournament. So, really, really awesome stuff here. Scouts infiltrating Predator. 5 Predators! Like, that is... I've looked at the Predator data sheet at 130, I'm like, this is spammable, right? Like, you could just take 6 Predators and have that as your base core concept to your army and supplement it from there. I'm finally glad someone did. A little sad that they're in my pod, but I'm curious to see how this goes for Kevin. I think he should do very well. As we round out pod 6, I want to do a shout out to Brad Townsend for bringing the coolest army on the planet at this tournament. The cojones on this man. Bloody blood. Renmaster on Blood Throne, Renmaster on Blood Throne, Skullmaster on a Juggernaut, Skullmaster on a Juggernaut, and a Skullmaster on a Juggernaut. 5 characters, 5 painful characters. Join 2, not 1, not 2, but 24 Blood Crushers. That's right. This man has 24 Blood Crushers plus 3 Blood Crusher characters. That's 27 Crusher-type models running straight at you, or deep striking straight at you. I don't know how this army plays. We've got 10, 5, 10 flesh hounds for 25 flesh hounds, and 1, 2, 3 skull cannons to hold the backfield. So, what's the idea here? Blood for the blood god. It's very simple. Runmaster's buff all Khorne units against a single target. He's got 2, so he can buff his army up against 2 targets. So blood crushers are tough to kill. They do charge mortals. They hit very hard under the Runmaster buffs. Bloody blood, blood, blood. You know, Brad, good on you. I got nothing but kudos for that. This I hope you do really well. Not so well, I lose to it, but basically I hope it's you and me in the final round of this pod. So then we got Matt Bonnet. He's the last person I'm going to explore from pod 6. Matt Bonnet is, I believe, a French WTC player, but I am not 100% on that. He's very skilled, though, and his list is no joke. He looks a little unassuming, but my god, is it scary. Angron, 2-foot DM Princes. Now, stay with me, because I will explain why this is good. One's got the Favorite of Khorne, and one's got the Helm Embrace Naya for I think that's -1 damage, but I could be wrong. And then he's got the Master of Executions with Berserker Glaive. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 120 Jackals. What? Are there 120 Jackals? You just wait. 5 Berserkers and a Rhino, and that is all. So this army looks like it's just Jackal Horde, right? You just got Jackals or Infantry. What the hell does this do? Let me explain to you. That DM Prince, both of them, each provide auras of 6-inch auras of 4+ invulnerable saves to infantry units within 6 inches. So 2 of them, you can't snipe out the Prince as a strategy. You can't really stop them from having 4-up invulns all over the table. It's basically 120 models with 4-up invulns, and, you know, they hold objectives and do stuff. But it doesn't stop there, because they also have 6-up Feel No Pain. And what does that mean? That means when you use the blood Yahtzee roll, whatever world leaders do at the start of the battle round to figure out what their army does, the most guaranteed result you can get is actually +1 to your Feel No Pains. Like, you roll 8 dice, and you're guaranteed a double, because 8 dice and only 6 results. And that's you trade that double in for +1 Feel No Pain. And then all these Jackals get 5 Feel No Pain. So you're shooting 4 Binville 5 Feel No Pain models. There's 120 of them, and they're on objectives. And not only that, but I don't want to put him into a corner with this, but I believe the strategy here is to go deploy homers and cleanse, as far as I can tell, and basically just sit on your ass and score points. Score primary with dudes on objectives, score secondaries with the same dudes on objectives. They can action in close combat, because every unit's got pistols out the wazoo. And you basically have to kill it to stop it from scoring. And if you're killing it with guns, you know, that can work, but it's tough. 4 Binville 5 Feel No Pain. Angron is happening to you. And if you kill it with close combat, like my Chaos Space Marines are going to try to do, if I blow all of my offense trying to kill Jackals, and there's Angron and 2 Princes, and this Master of Executions hitting me with these Khorne Berserkers, that's a tough game. All of a sudden I have to navigate full offense, which is required to kill these Jackals fast enough, with enough defense that I'm not getting tabled by an actual World Leader's force here. And that's a tough line to balance. So kudos to Matt for thinking outside the box with this one. I think it's a really great army. We got a 100 THB Super Chat. Don't know what that is. Hopefully it's a favorable exchange rate. Can you check this list from Thailand? List from Thailand. I can't search Thailand and then pull up all the Thailand lists and then just click all the Thailand lists. If there is a player name, I can search that you want me to check out. I'd be happy to. Thank you so much for your super chat. In general, I'll keep an eye out for some Thailand lists. There shouldn't be too many. Thank you so much. Are there any in this pod? That's a great question. Thailand. Yes. Pichayut. Let's look at Pichayut. So, Pichayut. I also want to look at this China list, because how often do you see lists from China that are unranked? This is Astra Militarum, Gonskos, Lord Sorleon's Platoon Command Squad, Tank Commander with Demolishers and Ursula Creed, all stereotypical card units that you're used to seeing. Cadian Shock Troops, Infantry Squad, Hellhound, Manticore, Triple Manticore, Regimental Attaché. I don't even know what that means. It's a Master of Ordnance, so I guess he joins somebody. Rogel Dorn, Scout Sentinels. This is very similar to Robert Moreland's list, except it's got 3 Manticores to also hit people from far away. But double Rogel Dorns is definitely a thing that we're seeing fairly often here, and that's very interesting. Okay, we got Pichayu in the chat. What's up, Strike? Your list is great. So then we've got pod number 6, last one I want to check out here. There's two I want to check out here. I'm sorry. I spent a lot of time Pod 6, but Pod 6 is my pod. How can I not? Bradley Weir. Brad Weir. And the only reason I'm showing this off is because Brad is a very creative player and just thinks outside the box when he writes armies. And he's not packing the Night Spinner pain. He's got an Autarch Wayleaper. He's got another Autarch Wayleaper. Everyone's talked about double Autarch. No one's actually done double Autarch. So, Brad, kudos to you. Avatar, Fugan, Illic, Spiritseer. This man also doesn't care about Assassinate. Now, people say picking Assassinate versus Eldar is a trap. I'm still doing it. We've got 5 Rangers, 5 Swooping Hawks, 5 Wraith Blades, and then 20 Wraith Guard. So, you want to see an Eldar list with no Night Spinners, no Incarn? How about 25 Wraith Guard? But, absolutely. $2 Super Chat from Matt K, 5303. Can we see the gradient list by Aaron Kelman? Absolutely, you can. Thank you so much for your Super Chat. Let's take a list. Aaron Kelman in Group 6. Gonna have to play this, maybe. Now, Aaron's got a bit of an off-the-wall list here. Aaron's Knights of Jank. Sorry, Aaron's Knights of Jank. Brotherhood Librarian with the Sigil of Exigence to teleport as soon as you shoot it once per game. Brotherhood Tech Marine, a Grandmaster, and a Dread Knight with Inescapable Wrath. You're not used to seeing Great Knights and Grandmasters in Dread Knights in most Great Knight lists, but this army is jank for a reason. 5-man Terminator unit, 2 5-man strike squads, Razorbacks. I have not seen a Razorback in 5 editions, folks. 5 editions. So that is pretty interesting. Land Raider, 2 an Inceptor squad, a Purgation squad, and then 3 Armiger Warglaives. Very interesting. More mechanized Grey Knights than we're used to seeing. Usually see Grey Knights all teleporting, doing weird Wizzly stuff. But this is a much more ground poundy. Like, we're going to fight the traditional fight style of Grey Knight list with just a little bit of Grey Knight Jink to help you score. Totally different approach. Definitely not something you want to sleep on. But you know what else is something you don't want to sleep on? John McCardell with a $100 Super Chat. The hero of the Imperium. My God, I gotta heart this. Thank you so much. The Chosen of Chaos right here, John McCardell. Make sure you call out Sipes List and make sure to tell him he made a huge mistake bringing T-Suns. Also, feed Quentin. John, thank you so much. Brian Sipes, an awesome dude. He's bringing T-Suns even though he's normally an Eldar player. We're going to see what that T-Suns list looks like. And yeah, we should beat Quentin. But you know what? Thank you for keeping us fed. You are quite literally putting food on our table, John. Thank you so much for your support for this channel. And then Sag Wolf, can we look at those Space Wolves lists like Jaime? We sure can look at the Space Wolves list from Jaime. So first I want to address John's amazing Super Chat with Brian Sipe. Brian Sipe is in Group 7. We'll get to Group 7 as we get to Group 7. John, hang tight. Sag Wolf, the $2 Super Chat, thank you from Jaime. I believe we've already covered the group Jaime's in. Yeah, he's in Group 4 from Spain. Let's look at Jaime's list. Jaime's a great friend of mine. He's got the Storm Molds with a great company. Bjorn the Fell-Handed, what a hero. This is the Iron Storm Spearhead. Ragnar Blackmane, what another hero. A Tech Marine with a Target Augury Web, and then a Tech Marine with the Added to the Omnissiah. 5 Assault Intercessors and Impulsor. 5 Inresian Wolves. 6 3/3 Inceptors, packing Bolters and Plasmas. 5 Scouts. Vindicator, Jaime with the Vindicators! Excuse me, everybody, I'm excited. Vindicators are not something you typically see at all. They're not bad. They're just not something you typically see, and I'm really excited Jaime's bringing them. 1, 2, 3 Whirlwinds. Yep, there it is. There's the indirect fire control. Okay, Jaime. Okay. Nice. Beautiful list here. Last thing I want to do is just check out our Jun Hong, our unranked player from China with Adeptus Custodes, another army you don't really see at Worlds. Oh, God. Another player you don't really see at Worlds here. Another army you don't see at Worlds here, rather. But Custodes showing up to work in Group 6. So we've got Blade Champion, Shield Captain, Trajan Valorous. All looks fairly normal. Cecil's Hunter and Veiled Blade as the relics. Custodes Guard Squad, a Custodes Guard Squad, a Prosecutor unit, one Caladius. Usually you see them in pairs or triples. A Custodes Warden unit, 6 Vinatari, and an Assassin. So to me this looks like normal Custodes units. A little bit one of everything style. But that is also a very fine way to play Custodes. I have absolutely no information on Jun Hong. I don't know if he's going to walk in from China and be the best player no one's ever heard of and just solo this entire tournament. I personally doubt it, but I'm here to see what happens this weekend. All right, everybody. That's enough Group 6 for one day. Let's take a look at Group 7. So Group 7, we've got Arne Zerk from Germany. Very top player, ranked 14th in the world with Eldari. Brian Sipe from Scotland with Thousand Suns. Zach Homew from Canada with Astra Militarum. Cody Giro from the United States with Eldari. Is this where all the Eldari landed in this one? Right here, fourth seed and fifth seed Eldari. I'm not even going to open them unless I know they're not Night Spinners and Incarns. They just are. Oliver Smith, good friend of mine with Space Marines on 6th seed. Jeremy Atkinson, who's usually judged the Games Workshop tournaments, I guess qualifying, was like, screw that, I'm playing in the Worlds. With the Leagues of Votan from Canada. Brayden Valley from the United States with Tau. Terroxer, one of the top players in Spain with Thousand Suns. Aidan Brocklehurst, a great player from England with Sisters. And then a bunch more people who I'm moderately familiar with to less familiar with. But there are players like Olivier Weiss, who is easy to sleep on, from France with Black Templars, in 570th place from ELO. Well, I promise you, he's one of the top players in the world, so we're definitely going to take a look at his list. Shout out to Daniel Hesters, another buddy of mine, with qualifying and bringing Dark Angels. So let's look at Arne over here. Arne from Germany has got... Oh no, yay. Okay, strong but not dominant. That is a quote from Stu Black regarding how Eldar are doing in the meta when 10th edition dropped, everybody. So I love the subtle cheekiness there. Altark Wayleaper with the Phoenix Gem. A Fugan. Shocker. Spear Tier, Incarn, 3 Night Spinners. I'm just going to stop. Rangers, Shroudrunners, Warwalkers. Okay. 10 Wraithguard. We know what that is. We all know what that is. Eldar players, take a lesson in creativity, please. Brian Sipe. And this is for Matt. This is for John McCardell. John, this is for you. Brian Sipe, you screwed up for not taking Eldar. What am I doing here? I don't know. You're playing Thousand Suns with Armand on a disc, the Exalted Sorcerer on a disc, an Infernal Master with a Crystal, another Infernal Master with Arcane Vortex. I hate that guy. That guy's so good. Magnus the Red, a Sorcerer with Lord of the Forbidden Lore, and another Sorcerer on foot, and then a third Sorcerer. So here's the tech with these Sorcerers. I know everyone just sees Thousand Suns characters and like, yeah, Mortal Wounds, Dev Wounds, blah, blah, blah. And that's all true. But the check with the Sorcerers is you can't shoot them and their unit that they're joined to outside of 18 inches. And then we've got 6 units of Rubric Marines and 2 Rhinos. So what are we going to do? We're going to put all of the Sorcerer units on foot. And Night Spinners can't shoot those. We're going to load up all of the other Rubrics and Rhinos, and then Night Spinners can have fun shooting Rhinos. And this is a great counter to Eldar, and Brian is also an Eldar player, so the fact that he's not running Eldar in favor of these Thousand Suns is very fascinating. As we go through, we've got Zach from Canada. How can we not talk about Zach with Astra Militarum from Canada? Can you deal with 2+ saves? We got Lord Leontis, a platoon command squad, a tank commander, another tank commander, both Demolishers of the Creed, 10 Catachan Jungle Fighters. Oh, this is 20 Catachan Jungle Fighters, my apologies. Nice little infantry block. A 10-man infantry squad. 3 Sentinels, 3 Hellhound, Sentinel, Scions. There's not that much 2-up saves in here. Am I missing something? I guess 3++ cover is a 2-up, sort of. I don't know. Very interesting. Do Armored Sentinels have 2-up armor? Really? That'd be crazy. That would be really crazy. I'd be shocked, but I don't know guards super, super well. I'm not even going to check these Eldari players. I'm just not about that life. But I am curious what Oliver Smith is running. Oliver Smith with his Adeptus Astartes. Iron Hands, Ironstorm Spearhead. 1 Tech Marine with Target Augury Web. 2 Ballistus, 6/3/3 Inceptors, triple Redemptor, a Scout Unit, triple Whirlwind, and a Calidus. Pain Train brought to you by the Guns. Wow. Okay, so then last one I want to talk about, he's right here. Olivier Weiss from France. Another Space Marine army. A Firestar Assault Force. I love the smell of Promethium in the morning. Olivier, cheers to you for coming up with a nice name. Captain and Gravis armor with Forged in Battle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Crusader squads. Now let me tell you about Crusader squads. There's 65 points for 5 Space Marines. That's already ludicrously cheap. 13 points a model. But then they also get awesome weapons. Sergeant's got an Inferno Pistol and a Thunderhammer. One dude's got a Melt-A-Gun, and one dude's got a Multi-Melta. You know what you can do? You can pop them into 1, 2, 3 Rhinos. Would you look at that? Pop 2 Multi-Meltas at the top of each one. Who wants to get shot by 4 Multi-Meltas from your Rhino? And then they're just OC2 dudes who like bash and smash and whatnot. But that's enough board control, MSU mission skirmish for one day. Now we're going to add the pain. We're going to add 6 aggressors. We're going to add 6 Inceptors. We're going to add a Land Raider Redeemer. We're going to add Scouts. And we're going to add 1, 2, 3 Whirlwinds and a Calidus Assassin. This list is awesome. I'm so happy this list isn't in my pod. I've had the pleasure of playing against Olivier before, and I know he is far better than his 500 and whatever rank suggests. Pod 7 has got to worry about this one. That's all I'm saying. So, moving on to Pod 8, the final pod that we're going to cover. We've got Ben Sherwin with Black Templars, Steve Trimble with Chaos Space Marines, Quentin, my boy, with Eldari. This is also potentially the most stacked pod that exists. It's definitely a question. Liam VSL from Belgium with Death Guard. This is the man who just won the London GT with Chaos Space Marines. And I think he might be quite literally our only Death Guard player of the event. Fred Otto with Eldari. And then as we scroll down a little bit, we got Liam Hackett, one of the best players in Australia, and I believe the captain of the Australian WTC team with Necrons, and also potentially the only Necrons of the event. I know a lot of players talk about how good Necrons are, but low representation of Worlds, because I think Necrons are a bit of a stat check, or at least it seems that way. But, it doesn't stop there. We've got Lucas Lesu from Poland with Dark Angels, and Eetu Peltola, which is the captain of Finland, with Eldari. So this Pod 8, you don't want to be in Pod 8. No one wants to be in Pod 8, yet so many people are in Pod 8. Let's take a look at Pod 8. We got Ben Sherwin. Ben Sherwin with Black Templars. Are these Jack Templars? Only one way to find out. The Heverin Crusade with a Castellan, High Marshal Helbrecht, a Crusader Squad, a Lancer, 3/3 Inceptors, a Redeemer, Primaris Sword Brethren, nice big chunk in 10-man, probably in that Redeemer, a Redemptor, Scouts, a Thunderstrike, a Whirlwind, and a Chaos. This is like a Battle Force one of everything Space Marine Army. I have no idea what Ben's going for with this. I mean, Space Marines can just take Space Marine units and do well, but seems a little all over the place to me. But Ben's a great player. I got nothing bad to say. And like, Land Raider full of dudes, 2 support tanks, 2 support Inceptors. It's not like these are weird units. These are just 1 Dreadnought, 1 Thunderstrike, 1 Whirlwind. That's what I'm saying. Is like a little unfocused to me, but maybe it's all very niche picks here. Question from Bonsai. You do have to qualify for this tournament. This is the World Championships of Warhammer. You've been qualifying all year long, and it's happening this weekend. So as we continue, let's take a look at our main man, Q Money, Quentin Johnson. I know I said I wouldn't show any more Eldar players, but I can't not show my own boy here. So he's got Autark Wayleaper with the Phoenix. Oh, Quentin moved it to the Autark too. What a jerk. Avatar, Farseer Skyrunner with the Weeping Stones, Fugin, and a Spirit Seer with Fate's Messenger. So slight variations to Quentin's list from when I last played it, but, Eldar's Eldar. There it is! 3 Night Spinners, 2 Swooping Hawks, 1 Warp Spider, and 10 Wraithguard. Quentin! Back to Pod 8. Who else are we checking here? We are checking Steve Trimble. Steve Trimble made a little bit of a list error, fun story here, and he didn't update the war gear on his Forge Fiends. They actually start with Hades autocannons, which you really, really, really want to swap out for ectoplasma cannons for free. However, you gotta actually click the buttons. Thankfully, the GW overlords, the tournament organizers, they allowed him to fix a very, very, what is obviously a typo upon his request. So we've got 3 Chaos Lords, Occultist Mob, 3 Rhinos, 30 chosen. 10, 10, 10. It's a little hard to read here, but it's 30 chosen, 3 Rhinos. Like, no, all beef, all day, no questions asked. 1 Forge Fiend with the Ectoplasma Cannons, another Forge Fiend with the Ectoplasma Cannons. Those used to be autos. And then 2 a Blitz, 5 Warp Talons, and an Urgling unit. Amazing army. Steve loves to stat check people. This is quite the stat check. As we move through, let's take a look at Liam VSL, a player we've all been following since his recent victory at London Grand Tournament, and the only Death Guard player. This is either going to be Liam being 10th level chess player over here with Death Guard, or Liam is snowflaking just a little bit too hard. Death Guard is a hammer and a meta filled with nails. We'll find out if that's true. Biologist Putrefier, Biologist Putrefier, Biologist Putrefier. Those are the grenade boys. They're very, very strong. 2 Foul Blight Spot. I like that he didn't take Mortarion. I think Mortarion's a bit of an auto-take for Death Guard players, but he doesn't really do that much, so I'm curious to see what he filled this out with. 10 Plague Marines, 10 Plague Marines, 5 Plague Marines, 5 Plague Marines. They got a myriad of weapons. They've actually gone for shootier versions here with 2 Plague Spewers, 2 Melted Guns, and a Blight Launcher, as opposed to all Bubotic Axes. But of course, you still take your requisite heavy Plague weapons. So 10, 10, 5, 5. Riding around in 1, 2, 3 Rhinos. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, 2 units of Nurglings, and 3 Brigands. So this Death Guard army only has 1,400 points of Death Guard, but it is the good parts of Death Guard, for sure. I'm very curious to see how Liam VSL does, especially when we look at another Liam who is very, very, very good at this game, but also the only Necron player in the entire tournament, from what I can tell. Liam Hackett. Necrons are bad. Yeah. So, Catacomb Command Barge, Chronomancer with the Veil of Darkness, that lets you teleport once per game, the Nightbringer, and Illuminor's Eris, an Auric and the Diviner, and an Overlord with the Hypermaterial Ablator, and a Royal Warden, and a Transcendent Titan with a Sempiternal Weave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters in this army. Yeah, not bad. 40 warriors. There it is. And a Ghost Arc, a Reanimator, and 2 more units of Cryptid Thralls to join those warriors. So he's really only got 2 bricks of warriors, all the support in the world for those warriors, and he's relying on Satans, the Command Barge, really that to do, like, actions and stuff. Normally I'd look at this list and be like, it's way too well on warriors. Normally I'd look at this list and be like, it's just not that great. I am not trying to disrespect Liam or his capabilities in any capacity. I've been on the receiving end of this man's brutality and his efficiency. And I'm so curious to see how Pod 8 shakes out, because they've got so many, and I do mean so many hitters in Pod 8. We have to check out Leishu from, if I can spell it. I don't know how. Let's check Pod 8 again. Oh, and Mark Perry's in here. I didn't even see Mark. Mark! Oh, we got to check out Mark too, because he's running weird stuff. And Fred Otto, another great player from Germany. So we're going to check Fred Otto, Mark Perry, Lucas, Leishu, Lesquix, I say that 5 times fast, and A2 before we round it out. So let's do that. We've got Fred Otto from Germany, Eldar. I'm just going to be real quick about this unless it's interesting. Otzark, Fugin, Illic. A lot of Illics these days. Not really, there's 2. Spirit Seer and Incarn, 2 Fire Prisms, only 1 Night Spinner. Okay, that could be 3 Night Spinners. It's the same points, but it's not. It's 2 Fire Prisms. A Ranger unit, a Shroud Runner unit, 2 Warwalkers, and there's the 10 race card. Little more power, little less indirect. This man likes strawberry instead of chocolate. You know, that's how I feel about that. But Lucas, how do you spell Lucas? Why doesn't Lucas appear? Is he even in this tournament? Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I did not hide it. I didn't. I'm sorry. Let's go back on Fred's list. I didn't hide the pod. So Fred's list was Autark with Phoenix, Gem, Fugin, Illic, Spirit Seer, Incarn, 1, 2 Fire Prisms, Night Spinner, Rangers, Shroud Runners, Warwalker, Wraithguard. Eldar, strawberry instead of chocolate. And now, how do you spell this man's name? I must know. Lucas, Lukasz. I swear I typed that in. L-U-K. Okay, he's just not coming up, so we can't look at Lucas's list. I'm sorry, I don't know why. But we can look at A2's list and Mark Perry's list. Let's look at Mark. We love Mark. Mark Perry with Chaos Space Marines in Pod 8. The Keeper of Jank. So, Mark's got Abaddon the Spoiler. It might be the only Abaddon I've seen this entire tournament. Chaos Lord with Talisman of Burning Blood. That's going to actually a relic I quite like on the Chaos Lord instead of going for the Undivided. He's gone for Khorne. It's better anti-tank stuff. Heretic Astari's Demon Prince with Wings with an Intoxicating Elixir. I've used this guy a lot. He's very strong. 10 Nurgle Cultists, a Land Raider. This is some Mark stuff. 5 Chosen, joined to that Khorne Lord. A Hellbrute. Gotta do the Abaddon Hellbrute Castle. And 4 Tzeentch Obliterators. A Keeper of Secrets, the Keeper of Jank, Nurglings, and Selesky. This is a Mark Perry original. Only Mark can play this army. I don't really know how he plans to use it in various matchups. The Keeper is pretty good at killing Chosen, actually, and those Sword Brethren that Jack had brought, because they are a lot of 3 damage attacks and kind of -1 to hit in close combat. Feeling Pain makes it pretty tough. This Princess Feeling Pain, that's pretty tough. The Land Raider is tough, especially with Mark and Urgo. The Blitz are tough because they heal. And then he's got some backfield attackers in the form of that Prince and Selesky. It's a very janky list, as you'd expect from Mark. But that is that. People are telling me how to get to Lucas Slayshew's list by typing in LES. We're going to give it a shot. There he is. There he is. It's an L with a slash. It's not a real L. I don't know. Poland's weird. Dark Angels. The Fall of Atlantis. Atlantis, that's clever. I can appreciate that title. Vanguard Spearhead. Alright. I'm terrified of the Vanguard Spearhead. Janky Space Marines are the kind I don't need to fight against. Glad this is in Pod 8. Everyone can Pod 8 can go. They deserve each other. Azrael, Chaplain and Terminator armor with the Blade of Driven Deep. Driving in the deep. Librarian Phobos armor, Shadow War Veteran. Scent Dev Squad, another Scent Dev Squad. 2 3s instead of the larger 6 that John's running. 10 Deathwing Knights, we all know what those are doing. Standing on an objective, being assholes. Excuse me. 3 Eradicators. 3 6 Inceptors, 3-man, 6-man. 5 Infiltrators, 5 Scouts, Whirlwind. A little more balanced than, triple Whirlwind, triple Eradicator, those types of things, but still, really nice balanced Space Marine army here. I expect him to do super well. This is a tough pod. This pod, no one wants to be in this pod. And Itu, the captain of Finland, good friend of mine. How do you spell Itu? There it is, 2 E's. Itu's got the Way of Water, Autarch, Avatar, Farseer, Fugue, Spirit Seer, Incarn, Warlock. At least he's got 2 avatars. That's interesting. Only 2 Night Spinners, 5 Hawks, and 10 Wraith Guards. A little light on trash, very heavy on characters. Very interesting. And that is pretty much the pods, everybody. So let me hop on over here and round this podcast out, this YouTube video. I want to thank you all for staying with me and watching this whole thing. I want to thank all the participants for coming across the world, across the pond, across the seas to this tournament and making it what it is. I want to thank Games Workshop for putting on the World Championships of Warhammer, because I think it's a really cool event and it's an honor to be invited to play into it. And I'm so excited. I really hope I do well in my pod. I'm playing in pod 6. And I really hope that, all the other pods are awesome and we get to that top 8 and we crack it. You can actually watch on not just the typical twitch.tv/Warhammer Twitch channel, which will be streamed live by all of the usual Paul and Warner people. You can actually stream on, I believe, a French channel, a couple other channels from different countries. There's like 4 or 5 different stations for countries that are streaming this. It's going to be streamed in 4 or 5 different languages, so no matter where you're watching this in the world from, you can catch the action in all kinds of different ways. This is sure to be an amazing tournament. 5 rounds starting on Thursday, just in your pods. And then you go to the top 8, the winner of each pod, to try to duke it out in a double elimination Saturday, Sunday. For all of you that I did not get to, that totally deserve recognition for your amazing performance throughout the year and your qualifications, thank you so much for, your patience with me. I can't go through 196 lists here. Just kind of trying to go through the ones that are at the top here. Thank you so much, everybody. And do us a favor. If you like this content, like the content. Leave a comment letting us know who you think is going to take down the whole thing. Which pod do you think is the toughest? Did I truly get the easiest pod? If so, yay! And thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you want to learn the game, get better at it, and become your best, check out that link in the description for a 3-day free trial, thewarroom.vhx.tv. It's clickable right down below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we will catch you